An old man tries to rescue a lion trapped in the snowstorm, but no one was ready for the ending. The wind howled across the valley, dragging sheets of snow through the pines. It was the kind of storm that erased sound, shape, and distance, a white silence swallowing everything it touched. Old Arvid walked with his head bowed, one gloved hand gripping the rope that held his small sled. He was used to solitude, used to storms, but that morning, something in the snow caught his eye. It wasn't the usual shadow of a fallen branch or a half-buried rock. It was too warm in color, a faint golden curve against the pale world. He stopped. The snow whirled around him, muffling his breath. He took a step closer, squinting through the frost. What he saw made his heart stumble. A lion, a full-grown lion half buried in the drift, its mane stiff with ice, its flank barely rising, a creature of heat and grasslands lost in a world of white. Arvid stood there for a moment, unsure if it was real. The nearest wildlife sanctuary was miles south. Perhaps it had escaped, wandered too far, caught in the storm with no way back. Whatever the reason, it was dying now. The lion's eyes were closed. Snow had gathered on its whiskers, and its paws were tucked close to its body as if trying to remember warmth. Arvid could have turned away, no one would have known. But something in the stillness held him there. He set down his sled and approached slowly, each step careful, respectful. The lion's ear flicked once at the sound, faint, but enough. It was alive. Arvid took off his coat, the old wool heavy and worn, and spread it gently over the lion's shoulder. The fur beneath was coarse and cold. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of the moment. "Easy now," he whispered, his voice nearly lost in the wind. The lion didn't move, only drew in a shallow breath that misted the air. Arvid looked around. The storm had thickened, the path back home nearly gone. He couldn't drag the creature through the snow. It was too weak, too large. All he could do was shield it. He built a small windbreak from fallen branches in his sled, forming a half circle of protection. The work was slow, his fingers raw from the cold. The sky above was heavy, pressing close. When he turned back, the lion's eyes had opened, pale gold, distant but aware. They watched each other without sound. In that quiet exchange, something ancient passed between them, the simple recognition of life clinging to life. Arvid knelt in the snow beside the creature. His breath came in clouds. The lion's came slower, steadier. He didn't touch it again. He only sat there, keeping the wind from its face, keeping company with a being that should have belonged to the sun. Hours passed like minutes. The storm began to ease, its anger spent. The valley softened under twilight, the snow glowing faintly blue. Arvid leaned against the sled, exhausted but unwilling to leave. For the first time he heard it, a low, rough sound. Not a growl, not a cry. A breath deep and trembling, as if the lion had found the strength to remember the world. The old man closed his eyes for a moment and let the sound settle into him. A fragile, living heartbeat in the heart of the storm. When darkness fell, he stayed beside it. Snow drifted lightly over them both, and the silence no longer felt empty. It felt alive. Morning came softly, as if the world had forgotten how to move. The snow had stopped in the night, leaving behind a heavy stillness that seemed to hum beneath the sky. The trees wore white like old ghosts, and the air was sharp enough to sting. Arvid woke with his back pressed against the sled, stiff from the cold. His coat still covered the lion's shoulders. Beneath it, he saw a slow rise and fall. Life, fragile but steady. He breathed out, his sigh curling like smoke. "You made it," he murmured. The lion's eyes opened, a pale, fading gold that caught the first light of morning. It didn't growl or flinch, only watched him with a weary calm. The storm had stripped away every barrier between them. There was no wildness now, only exhaustion, only the quiet will to keep breathing. Arvid reached for the tin flask he carried, shaking it gently. Only a little water left. He poured it into a small hollow in the snow and slid it closer. The lion's nostrils flared. It hesitated, then lowered its muzzle, lapping weakly at the icy melt. The sound, soft, rhythmic, broke the silence in a way that felt holy. He gathered wood from what he could find under the drifts. His fingers were numb, but habit guided him. He built a small fire, coaxing it to life with patience rather than force. The warmth spread slowly, coloring the lion's breath in rising waves of steam. It tried to lift its head fully but failed. Arvid didn't reach to help. He knew when to stay still. Instead, he sat cross-legged near the fire, rubbing his hands together, talking in a low voice meant more for the wind than for the creature beside him. "Storm's easing. You'll see the sky soon enough." The lion blinked, slow and deliberate, a gesture that felt almost like an answer. Hours passed. The valley brightened. The storm clouds rolled away in thin ribbons and light fell on the snow like forgiveness. Arvid watched the lion shift, one paw stretching out, claws half buried in ice. Its movements were sluggish, uncertain, but growing steadier. He found himself noticing details. The frost clinging to its mane, the scar near its shoulder, the way its breath misted in rhythm with his own. Every living thing he'd ever tended, horses, dogs, even broken birds, had looked at him like this, on the edge between fear and trust. But never something like this. Never a lion. At midday, the wind changed, softer now, carrying the scent of pine and earth. Somewhere far off, a raven called, a sound of the world returning to itself. The lion stirred again. Its head lifted, trembling with effort. Arvid froze, every instinct telling him to move back, to give space. But the animal only looked at him, steady, unblinking, before lowering its head again, resting it near his boot. Not close enough to touch, but close enough to feel its warmth. He sat very still. The fire crackled softly, melting the edge of the snow between them. In that moment, there was no storm, no age, no difference between man and beast. Just the faint sound of breathing and the quiet rhythm of survival. When the light began to fade, Arvid added the last of his firewood. The lion watched him with half-closed eyes. "Rest now," he whispered, voice rough as the wind. The lion exhaled, slow and deep, a sound that carried something like trust. And as the night settled once more over the white world, two lives, one weary, one wild, stayed close beneath the cold sky, bound by warmth that neither had expected to find. By morning, the snow had stopped. Light poured across the valley, soft and golden, melting the edges of the world. Arvid stirred, stiff and cold, and turned toward the lion. It was moving, slowly, shakily, but alive. Its mane, once frozen, now glimmered with drops of melting ice. The great creature lifted its head, blinked against the light, and breathed deeply, as if remembering what warmth felt like. Arvid stepped back, giving it space. "That's it," he whispered. The lion's breath rose in clouds. It pushed itself up, paws sinking into the snow. For a moment it stood uncertainly, the effort trembling through its body. Then it straightened, tall and steady, framed by the white horizon. It turned to him, eyes calm, golden, almost gentle. No fear, no anger, only understanding. The lion took a slow step closer, snow crunching softly beneath its weight. Arvid didn't move. For one heartbeat they stood together, two beings who had survived the storm side by side. Then the lion moved past him, each stride stronger than the last, heading toward the dark line of the forest. At the edge of the trees it paused and looked back once. Sunlight caught its mane, setting it ablaze with color. "Go home," Arvid said quietly. The lion blinked, turned, and vanished into the pines. Silence returned, but it was no longer cold. It was full, alive, carrying the echo of breath, of warmth, of something shared and wordless. Arvid stood for a long time, eyes on the trail of paw prints leading back to life. Then he smiled, and small, tired and grateful, as the wind carried the faintest sound through the valley, the deep, distant roar of a lion, free again.